hello again. It is Tuesday, and of course, that means I'm here. And today I have a little surprise for you. I have two amazing ladies. Last week we had three, this week we have two. It seems in November we're like going down in number every single Tuesday. Today I have once again two performers. And as you have noticed by now, it's kind of important for me to bring you performers because the one thing that we often forget is when we enjoy a show, when we enjoy hearing something on the radio, on TV, we forget how much work is behind there and how much these artists and performers are actually practicing to bring us this entertainment. And of course, in the US, we're just looking at Thanksgiving this week, Thursday. And therefore, it is Giving Thanks Month for me. I'm going to bring in two ladies who are famous, who are well known in the circle that matter. And you probably have seen them as well. You might just not be fully aware of it. So, and by the way, I'm probably going to mispronounce both of their names, but that's just what we deal with. I'm going to bring first in Roimata Templeton and hello.
Hi.
And then we've got Alex. How do I pronounce her last name? Avenel?
Yes.
That's all right.
Perfect.
I got it.
Yes.
I got it. All right. So you two ladies are performers. You both have done theater, TV, musicals, and a whole range of other things. Okay, so just to give everybody a little bit of an idea, Roimata, for example, comes, of course, from the beautiful area that we like to refer to as New Zealand. And she has, if I'm not mistaken, studied in London and many other places. She has performed across the globe in such plays and musicals like West Side Story, which you may have heard of, or, other things like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamboat and other such things. She also is a singer. She does also coach and teach, and she has three girls. I have one. I know how that feels. So I don't want to be in her boat. And then we have Alex, who I will not say how long she's been on stage because you can't tell, but she has been on stage for quite a while and been hired directly from college to perform. She's been in such little plays such as, I don't know, My Fair Lady, The King and I, Mamma Mia, Dance of the Vampires, and I'll show some pictures of all of this later. But ladies, just please share for a moment with us individually. I'm going to bring you up individually, okay? Why you do what you do and what your most fond memories are of your life thus far. I know Roimata's looking at me like, oh my God. Guys, just letting everybody, there's nothing scripted in what I do, okay? Okay, since Roimata looks a little scared right now, I'm going to start with Alex.
Oh, okay.
Got that. So, Alex, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm going to give you the spotlight. Why do you do what you do, and what right now are your fondest memories thus far? Because there's, of course, still a lot more to come.
Wow. Okay, why I do what I do? I absolutely love what I do. I was 2.5 when my mum took me to dancing classes to get to know mums and children in the area where we moved. And I was lucky to have a fantastic teacher who awakened this joy in dancing and performing, and it just grew. It's part of me. It's part of my life. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I mean, I do a lot. We're lucky in the branch that we do work in. There is so much that we can do, but it makes my heart beat faster. It makes me smile. It's to be on stage, to teach, to be behind a microphone, to be... oh God, I can't explain it. It's just, yeah, it's my life. It just makes me happy. It really does. It makes me shine. And wow, I don't know where to begin to say my best moment up until now. I think it's not the only moment, as you can imagine. We've been doing it for a long time, but I do remember the first time that I was in the Stage Operettenhaus in Hamburg, and the first curtain call, and I remember just standing there and looking up to this audience who, it was for Mamma Mia, just happy, screaming, joyful faces, and I just looked up and I thought, oh my God, I'm the luckiest person in the world. And yeah,
Wow.
that's
Yes. Hamburg. Yes.
yes.
Yes. Not that I'm partial, but that's my hometown.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. Operettenhaus. That's beautiful. Of course. I want to give a quick shout out to Dame Doria, who is just always, always such a supporter. So thank you for being here, Dame Doria. And now I'm going to ask. Now, Roimata had a little bit of a lead headway there. She could actually think about what to say. So thank you for giving the example, Alex. Roimata, what are your fondest memories, and why do you do what you do?
So why I do what I do, I think that there was no other choice really. It's just, yeah, I had to sing and dance and act, and that's always what I wanted to do. I remember people would ask me as a child, and then I would answer, singer, dancer, actress, mother, and they would be like, but what do you really want to do? But it was always very clear, I think, even to people back in New Zealand now, where I was going, or I mean, not where in the world I was going, but what I was going to do. And so, yeah, I've never really thought of doing anything else. Obviously, you do other little jobs along the way when you're studying to earn the money and stuff. And my fondest memory, it's really difficult to choose because there's some stunning. I mean, one out of this world sort of memories was, performing Maria in Buckingham Palace was just, a bit, yeah, off the chart. You're kind of standing there and, and you're getting all these wonderful fittings, and then the whole day is just run incredibly. And there you are, singing at the palace, really not on the steps of the palace, but in the palace. So that was just an incredible moment. And then singing, and then Stephen Fry and Dame Diana Rigg, you're right beside them leading the finale with those two singing for Dame Judi Dench and Ian McClellan and Kate Winslet, and just all these great people in the audience. So that was pretty stunning. And the other one I have another so fond is, of course, when I opened as a Rumpelteazer in Cats and Theater am Potsdamer Platz. And that was just, the whole lead up, rehearsals, everything was sensational. And then running into Katharina Witt after, when you have the massive curtain calls, on stage at a premiere, and she was there, and that was wonderful. And just talking to her. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'll just be quiet and you ladies talk, because I have no such stories whatsoever.
Fond memories, I think.
No, it's amazing. And I gotta share, of course, that those of you who watched the last show as well, thanks to everybody in the audience being back. It was funny because you two ladies said just about the same thing as the three ladies last time before we went live. Okay, because we had a little tech glitch last time, and then I said, okay, we got to do Zoom, and they were like, oh, good, we're not going live. And I said, oh no, we're still going live. And then they were like, Anna, Annie, and Rania were like, yeah, but we're nervous because we're going to talk about ourselves. Yeah. And it's so funny that you two said just about the same thing. And I wanted to wait until you shared some of where you have been. Because if I'm thinking about, I'm going to show a picture of you, Roimata. Okay. If I'm thinking about a play, okay, or of course, I love this one, Alex. Okay. If I'm thinking about Tanze Vampire, okay, or this one is very interesting, very, very intense, okay, with Roimata. And then, of course, Mamma Mia with Alex. You both have done so much, and you just shared where you've been. And then you're nervous about talking about yourself. So where does that come from? Why is that? What do you think? And then the reason why I'm asking, I'm not trying, to be mean, but there are a lot of young girls, especially out there, who may have to give a presentation in fifth grade or in 10th grade, and they get nervous and they don't understand why they're nervous about this. So and I know you teach young adults and kids too. So what is it about being nervous? Is that good? Is that bad? Why is there a difference on stage and having to talk about yourself?
Oh, who's going first?
I know. It's like,
When we go on stage, and it's something we've practiced. I think we're so, I feel so at home, and even if the role's really new, and I remember being backstage with Alex as the curtains down, Mary Poppins, you're sitting on the chimney, you've never done the role before, but still you have, I don't know, I have this stillness surrounds you, you're totally carried away into the role. It's a very known thing, I guess, because we've both done it also all our lives. And we're very at home, like on stage. That is home. It's very natural. I think giving a presentation in class or something like that, or speech competitions, that was also quite easy. It's different though if you just have to get up there and say, then they talk about yourself. I guess maybe because you feel whenever I'm in different performances, that is part of myself, whatever I'm doing, more myself than me, than I.
Okay.
I do have to say, I don't know, I feel Roimata's probably got, it has to, okay. I'm really good at talking. It's great. Let's have Alex for an interview and she can't say a word. Put the teeth back in. I think it's easier to be up on stage, to be someone else. I think it's a self-confidence thing. It's, for me, I can only speak for me personally. Does anyone actually want to listen to me? Does anyone actually want to see me? Am I interesting? Am I whatever? Whereas if I play a part, I know people want to see that. So I think it's probably easier for me to go, okay, I'm going to jump into Mamma Mia today and play a show, rather than stand there. I feel like I have to open my soul when I'm by myself. It's taken me many, many years to actually think, no, that's okay. I can just be me. That's enough. And I think that's sort of one of the reasons why I like to teach so much, because I don't want children to wait that long. I don't want children to take 30 years to go, I'm enough. I want children to know that they are enough early on, and not to take many years to get there. That's the only way I can sort of think about. Yeah. For me.
Wow. Okay. That's of course
that got deep, right?
No, and I love it because there, in the world where I'm at, as a mentor, as a coach, I deal a lot with self-confidence in especially women, but the range, because there is something where we don't think we're enough. And it is, where does it start? Where can we pinpoint it? And it's interesting that, when we look at a performance, on the one hand, it's an escape for us as people in the audience. We're just mesmerized, we just love it. So you work very, very hard in that role, even though it seems to be home for both of you, but you work hard. I mean, you work like 8 to 10 hours a day, rehearsals, and then you got to do more. And then you perform like 8, 10 times a week. How do you deal with that pressure? Because if I'm in the audience, I'll just be like, whoa. But then there are critics. Isn't there a lot of pressure on you to do it right, to be great?
Yeah. But I have to agree with what Roimata said before. It's home. I as much as, you know, of course it hurts if someone says, oh, I didn't like how she sang, or I didn't like how she danced, or, oh, I think she's put on weight since the last production, or, oh yeah, look, she shouldn't be playing that part. But because it is home, because it's something, you know, that we do from the bottom of our soul, it is part of us. It hurts for a moment, but then, you know, okay, well, in that case, maybe they didn't like it, but that is still their opinion. That's not necessarily everyone's opinion. And okay, fair enough. Then I'll check that song. I'll work a little bit harder, or I'll rehearse a little bit more. And that's how I see it. But I would definitely never take the critique and go, right, that's it, I'm never going on stage again, because it is, as is beauty, it's in the eye of the beholder. Unless, of course, you're really, really, really singing a bad note, then everyone knows about it. That's.
Well, yeah. Well, I probably wouldn't, but you know, that's me. So it's all good. It's all good. But you know, you would know. And I think it's often that if you know you hit the wrong note, that's when the criticism starts, right? It's like, all right, what are you thinking, Roimata? I know you're thinking because you got your head tilted.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's more the self-critic is the hardest one.
Oh yeah.
Because then, you know, and even rehearsing or by myself, it's difficult to turn off and to get that overview, what people will actually hear and see. So sometimes I think that it's the self-critic, which is, I mean, that's always about, it's good to have, obviously we need it, but you got to keep it in check. As for other critics, for every one person who didn't like it, there are so many more who were so moved to tears, who loved it, who, I mean, and for anything, you can't take what one person or someone writes about you seriously. It's at the end of the day, you know what, well, I know what I was born to do. And yeah, maybe I had not such a great day. Maybe I was completely full of cold and all, you know, but you still did it. It was in line. Maybe the sound was off on certain, you know, sometimes there are technical things that go wrong when you're on stage, and we can only deliver what, you know, and we give our all. And I think, and I don't know for everyone, but it's even when you're doing 8 shows a week, every time you want to do better and better and better. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really take much notice of critics. I don't know if they take much notice of me. Yeah, and I know when I've been teaching and there have been lots of kids, often teenagers, they're so worried. But what if this and what if this? I don't know a polite way to say this, but I tell them, you know, who gives a rat's? It's like at the end of the day, you have to know what you want and what you're about, and don't let, like, yeah, my mom always said, don't let anyone stop you. You know,
it's actually
and
funny.
Also yeah. And you see so many things. Then if you look around, it doesn't take long to find very, very famous people who did such really quite bad performances or stuff on the internet. They keep going. We all have to keep going. That was the one time, you know. So it's only people, I think, that don't understand what it's all about that are the actual vocal critics. I mean, obviously, if you get a note from the musical director, yeah, we take it. We invite that help. That's different. Not
sometimes. No, I'm joking.
or from the director. You know, there can be a discussion. Why did we do something that way? You know, often because we have our ideas and things as well. I think that's pretty a long enough answer.
Yeah, awesome. Alex, you wanted to chime in here at some point.
It's interesting what you said about with the teenagers, because my son, for a very long time, I didn't want him to go into our branch because I know how difficult it is, but he did, and now he writes his own music and records. And he said to me, it was saying about critique and about critics, and he said to me, well, that person took the time to listen to my stuff and then send me a message to say, well, I didn't like this and I didn't like this. He said, but that meant they took the time. He said, so yeah, whatever, it's their loss, but it's, you know, my gain. And it's quite nice to watch him just go, oh, well, that's an opinion. Do I take it? Do I not? Whatever. The person thought I was awful, but they still took the time to listen to my stuff. So he said, that's good. He said, if I'm getting critics, he said, then maybe I'm doing the right thing. So yeah, I hope that a lot of teenagers, as Roimata said, take things the way they need to. They either take it a bit on board and maybe use it, but they don't get destroyed by it. That's important.
Not to get destroyed. There's also, I mean, a great example I always tell my daughters is with Roald Dahl, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's so famous. His English teacher wrote he can't spell. He got the worst marks. This guy will never amount to anything. I mean, sometimes the most famous people in history, all throughout history, that were rubbished are the ones that we remember for being so great.
Yeah. If it makes you strive to work harder, to be even better than you are, then it can only be a good thing, right?
Yeah. And sometimes you're just misunderstood anyway.
I'm going to say that, Roimata. We're misunderstood.
Okay. Well, this is interesting because both of you also have children and you're both also teachers of young children and then teenagers. And Alex, you just said you really didn't want your son to get into this business, right? So, of course, we met because of Stagecoach. I think everybody has figured that out by now. This is the fourth show. But, you know, Stagecoach is just one of the many places where kids can get introduced to performing arts. There are some countries where it's integrated in the school system, others not, and every school is a little different. So when you're worried about your own kids, or when you are thinking about your own kids not getting into the business, and at the same time you're teaching other kids, why do you teach other kids? And do you think that every kid, child, young adult that goes through your training is actually going to be a performer? Like 3 questions in one. I love doing that. I'm German. Take it where you want to take it.
Roimata, would you like to go first?
I'm trying to remember the 3 questions.
Just answer one. That's good.
The last one. Do I think that every child is going to be a performer? No. But also, do I think every child wants to be a performer? No. I mean, sometimes it's pretty obvious they really don't. And then others, yeah, they're exploring something. Does everyone who plays football want to be a footballer? No, but it's good to do sport, and it's good to do all these things. What was the other thing about the teaching the kids?
That was good. We'll just stay with that one. So not everybody wants to be a performer. So the next one I'll ask in a second. I'll rephrase it. But so not everybody wants to be a performer. Okay. Why are they there then? Like, what do you teach them? If you know not everybody in the group wants to be a performer, has the potential to be a performer, however we want to phrase it, why do you teach performing arts?
I think in Germany, especially, it's really important so that they can have some fun. Because when they go to school and they have this homework. It's kind of school and homework, and it's not so much fun. I mean, in New Zealand, we had a lot of extra stuff, tons of sport. Everyone sang every day. There's music. It's a very different type of school. But here, yeah, you want to teach them to have fun, and I guess they go because they want to go and they enjoy it, and they use this energy and they enjoy learning this coordination. You teach them tons of things. I mean, musicality and rhythm, and yeah, how to groove to a rhythm. That they all seem to be really, I mean, very, as I say, just thinking of the Stagecoach classes, really happy to do it all. Whether they, and some you can see that they have this kind of dream, I think, to go on stage, but not everybody. But they seem very happy to be there and to be communicating with one another, which especially at these times is really important, that they can actually communicate and make something together. Like, you know, when you're choreographing a number and it's this excitement as it builds up and they realize they can do all this stuff together, and the effect of many is amazing, I think, and they like it. So maybe to make them feel good, themselves feel good.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. What do you think, Alex?
Well, for me, I have to say, growing up in England, where it's part of our culture that every town, village has about 10 different dance schools. That's what you do. You either you're going riding or you're going to dance school. Boys are playing football. I mean, that's what it is. And you grow up doing it. You grow up taking exams. You grow up performing in festivals. It's all part of it. So when I came to Germany, I was quite shocked that this wasn't part of the culture, especially as Hamburg is basically the third biggest musical city in the world. So for me, it was a bit of a shock, especially to be here and like, well, why is no one doing this? So before I actually came to Hamburg, I was already teaching children in smaller areas. And I think it's important, especially where music and dance and singing is so much part of, you know, whether it's a television culture, whether it's, you know, listening to the radio, or kids are, you know, watching High School Musical, or they're dreaming of, you know, going on to Germany's, not Germany's Next Top Model, that was the wrong one. I mean, Deutschland sucht den Superstar, that I can't remember what it's called in English.
That's okay, don't worry about it.
That's awful. I've been too long in Germany, I can tell you that. So I for me, it was for them to realize that everyone can do this. You can try. It should be fun. You should enjoy it. It shouldn't just be, right, I want to be famous. No, you should actually know what it means to sing, to listen to music, to dance, to feel your body, to express your emotions, to become confident, to be part of a group. I mean, that's the thing as well. The theatre community, actually any of the communities, theatre, the studio community, voiceover community, everyone does actually stick together. I know everyone's always, you know, there are always these things of, you push so-and-so down the stairs, you could get the part. I have never experienced that. I don't know if Roimata's got other stories, but I would say to 99.99999%, everyone's actually behind each other and helping. And I think that's important. That's what I want to give the kids, the joy, the freedom to do it, that it doesn't matter if you, as Roimata said, most of them probably are not going to be doing this in 10 years' time. It doesn't matter. They're doing it now, and they should enjoy it and feel that freedom and the joy that it brings. Because it is beautiful. What we do is amazing. It's one of the best jobs in the world. Sorry for everyone else out there who's doing something else.
Yeah, that's okay. I can take it. It's okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. So here's a different kind of question then. And I've seen this a lot in sports and also in performing arts, but more in the US. And that is parents who want their children to be performers or athletes. And both of you had said you didn't really want your kids to. Well, Roimata, you didn't say it.
I didn't say that. No, actually, I really want them to do this.
Yeah. Awesome. So you're one of those parents. Oh my gosh.
Push them into it. I mean, I was lucky that my eldest, she took a long time. She wanted to be an actress, but I don't know whether it was she felt this pressure because I'm in the business. For ages, she was almost quite shy about getting on stage and stuff. And then she finally went for it and got into Oxford School of Drama and graduated and you know, is an actress. And it's amazing. She's amazing on stage. Just, you know, finally, okay, this is what she wanted and harbored. And then when I saw her at Pop-Up Globe and what is that? Much Ado About Nothing, and she was as Beatrix, and she was just wonderful, and it was just everything there. It just burst out, and you see, and in everything she does, it's fantastic. So I'm glad she found that, and then the middle one, Darcy. I mean, I called her Darcy. It's a ballet name, and she is my ballet dancer. But I mean, we're under no illusions how tough. I mean, especially or how narrow. Things are more going into ballet. I mean, all the way along, I'm just checking because it's like I always had a backup plan in case it didn't work, because I know she loved dance and everything so much. But I mean, you have to. There's no way of getting technically through ballet unless things really align all the time. And now, you know, but she's done it, and then it's really nice. I think that when she comes to me sometimes for help or to go through the videos, which audition video, or even right before her really important exam, getting into the professional training here at John Neumeier, she was struggling, and she was like one of the underdogs. She hadn't got a great report, and we were worried. And then we just watched that last video of the thing, and then I gave a comment about it was to do with form. That said, did she understand the form of ballet? And so we were like, but they weren't more specific. And so we watched that video at the last minute, you know, and I was like, I think you're just slightly out of light. Like just bring your chest back in and lengthen and see what happens. And then they only chose 2, and she was one of them that got in. But now this so it's a really nice compliment for me, because I'm working on some Britain cantata, my cantata project. So I'm choreographing these beautiful Britain cantatas, and I was just showing her something the other day, and she was like, "Oh, can I use that for my contemporary audition video?" So we're going to do a bit of work on the weekend, but I don't know. Kids, they wanted to go into this field. And so I think as performers, we just try to then take care. Obviously, you don't want to shield them. They got to do what they got to do. But at the same time, we know the sort of pit holes and things to watch out and help them along the way. And and then my youngest wants to be playing the Elbe Philharmonie. So, so she has big dreams. But she's doing really well on the violin, which is quite a different thing. So concentrated when she performs, and we're performing together, sometimes singing. But I just kind of leave her alone. I don't want to disturb. I don't want to poke the bear. I just let her do her thing. We sing duets and things, and otherwise it's too dramatic. So we sing, and she's great when we go out there. She's very calm. Very.
She's really sweet. Your daughter, the youngest, is so sweet.
But I don't know. I just heard "don't poke the bear," so that's where I don't poke the bear. I'm like, okay.
Sometimes it's like that when we're rehearsing together, or she'll say something to me, and then I think, no, I don't like it when she, I mean, or we both know when we've made a mistake, and so but normally when we go out there and actually perform, it's just really nice actually to have someone else out there, because it's more gala sort of style, and to sing these, it gives a really different interpretation to duets and things. It's nice.
Awesome. That's so cool. And I think what I'm hearing you say is really, being the mother. Because whether it's in performing arts or my idea of a parent, right? Whether it's performing arts or something else, if that's what the kids want, what do? We support it, and we have a backup plan, right? At least that's what I think we should do. But yeah. Anyhow, Alex, what are your thoughts on this? Especially like, let me put the question a little more aggressively, I suppose. Have you ever had to deal with parents who really, really, really wanted their kid to be a performer, and the kid didn't want to, or the talent wasn't quite there? Let's just go with the first one, because I believe everybody has some sort of talent. So where the kid really didn't want it. Have you ever had to deal with that?
Actually, not in Germany. It was when I was growing up that a lot of the kids that I grew up with, talking about that being the underdog, I was sort of the underdog, and there were some other kids that were always featured, and the parents pushing. And actually at some point they were like, I don't want to do this anymore. But the parents would push. And it was such a shame, because you saw the light sort of just drain out of them because they had other interests. And for me was great, because it meant, well, I'm just going to plod on through. And then I just carried on plodding on through and been working nonstop ever since. So that was fine. That's sort of one of the reasons why I always said to my son, he needs to decide. That's his, if he wants to do it, because I feel, I'm going to do the touching wood thing. So I do that. I've been very lucky with my career. I've been very lucky with the teachers I had that were fantastic, the people that supported me, my mother who did everything so I could go, my family. And so I was, because my journey was not easy, well, obviously it wasn't always easy, but in my world, I was very lucky and it was easy. That's why I was a little bit worried about my son going into it. And, but he did his choice. I've watched him play falsettos and sing in Yiddish and English when he was like 9-10 years old, and it completely shocked me. And I was like, my God, that's my child. But I have to say, I haven't experienced it here in Germany, this sort of like pushing, but the child doesn't want to, luckily, which I'm really happy about that. Because it destroys energy, it destroys light when the parents push too much. And and it destroys talent, actually.
And I think the joy that you both were talking about before, that's really the key part here. I want us to take a teeny tiny little break, and then I'd like to talk about being an artist during a pandemic, so you can gather your thoughts while I'm just showing a little bit about the Los Angeles Tribune.
Hello and welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune. Since 1886, our name has been a part of the world of journalism. We have earned a reputation for being a publication that practices integrity, authenticity, and responsibility. For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And of course, just for everybody who's watching right now, we are live with the Dr. Natalie show. That's me and two amazing guests. Don't forget to check out all of our other shows, whether it's the Better Your Business show, Rex Sykes, whether it is Barry Shore, whether it is Jeremy McDonald, I got that wrong last time, I apologize, this storytelling alchemist, or of course, some of the new shows we've got coming up. So stay tuned for some of those. They're always live, where you can get some kind of recognition, or at least engage. And engagement, of course, I think is a big part when it comes to performing arts. Both of you are on the stage where you get the immediate feedback usually. And to me, that's always important. I mean, I don't perform, but I speak, in front of big groups, and then I can interact. I can see what I'm saying, if it resonates. Now, during this thing that we lovingly refer to as a pandemic, that didn't happen. You did not have that stage where you could stand and interact. How did the pandemic affect you in your professional lives? Because I know that a lot of my other friends who are performing artists, they couldn't travel anymore, so they couldn't do any gigs. They were locked down. They didn't have any health insurance, any kind of. How did it affect you? Either one of you would like to start?
Roimata, or shall I go?
You go.
Okay. Well, firstly, the bonus we have is living in Germany. That luckily, very good health system, help from the state. Second thing, I have spent my entire life being an advocate for the fact that our business does not just involve being on the stage in maybe a big theatre or in a small theatre, but it also involves teaching, it can be online teaching, it can be in-person teaching, it can be singing in the studio, it can be writing songs for other artists, it can be voiceover, synchron, translation, anything that has to do with our business, our branch, our world, as far as I'm concerned, is amazing. So it's not, and that I've worked very hard to have the 5,000 different things that I do. So for me, another one of those lucky things is that during the pandemic, my work carried on. So I was still doing voiceover. I do a lot of voiceover for the Tony boxes, where they put the little figures on and you press the ears and all that stuff. Much to the annoyance of several of my colleagues who have small children, who moan that I'm constantly in their living room. So that's one thing. So I was lucky that it all carried on for me. I write for Lego and Paw Patrol, so that all carried on. I was in the studio. At some point it got a bit less, but I was lucky I still had something to do. So my artistic heart was still fulfilled, as much as the rest of the time, of course, panic, is it going to come back? How long is it going to take? Feeling for my colleagues that obviously their contracts had run out or weren't extended, or the shows couldn't happen. So yeah, that was, for me, it had paid off all the sleepless nights or the double duties with child and 4 jobs and stuff. So yeah, I was very, very lucky, I have to say.
Yeah. And I want to jump in there just for a second, Roimata, if I may, because you just pointed out the voiceovers, and so I think that's, not everybody does that. So I think some of the other performing artists that I know, they had to like pivot and try and figure it out. The other part of this, of course, is that even the teaching. I mean, schools were closed. But then you mentioned online, and that's, of course, a very different environment. And I think of my daughter taking voice lessons online, which is so different. I mean, because it doesn't transfer 100%. It's like it doesn't work 100%. She's got a great teacher and all that, but still, it's not the same. You can't say, here's the breath, or you can't do all of that. So. Very interesting. And of course, the voiceovers or being in TV does make a difference. What about you, Roimata? How did it impact you?
Quite a lot. I mean, I don't do any voiceover work, or I hadn't done much online stuff. And I'm, as a teacher, I really like the live thing. I did a bit online, and then I kept some friends busy in England that I developed some dance fit classes. So they were, we had these really good dance fit things. It felt like a time of real preparation, like doing tons of preparatory work for so many things, this endless preparation and the performance or the whatever, the teaching even never came, or the teaching started and then just as the work starts to snowball again, because it's always, after you've come from a long show, and then, the work builds up, and it was building up really well. And when I was in New Zealand right before lockdown performing, it was just constant calls, constant emails about this and this, everything coming up. And then we went into lockdown and all that was cancelled. So I was lucky. Yeah, I still had some from the States, some unemployment money that was left, that you think, okay, that this will be all right, because it won't last for that much longer. But then, then in last November, then when we stopped again, then it was very disheartening, because again, everything had started to build up, and then again, everything was just cancelled. And all the preparation work for live things, you're not paid for any of that. All those meetings that you had on Zoom, it's so financially, I mean, I was lucky then. I was still had this allowance from the state, but then in July it's completely stopped. So it's just completely trying to survive on as a freelancer, and people are much more precarious. They're not. So possibly there will be some gigs coming up there. I mean, the fact that was it last week, that these gigs that were in November actually happened, and a couple of nights. I mean, they're outdoors, and and that the teaching has happened, and that there's meant to be a Christmas parade in a small village that I'm choreographing for. But it's all, everyone's very tender. Is it going to happen? So it's quite. I think you just have to keep going. And there's no point in. I mean, what else can you do? There are many worse situations, and I have lots of different projects now. I mean, now I was lucky that then GayVL, which was also supporting the artists, I think via funds from the government. You could put in an application. You had to write a little essay what you wanted to do, a performance project, research project, or something for artists. So I got a grant from then. So, so that will see me through till January. And it's really a really exciting project. I was thinking I should do something really practical, maybe normal. And then I was like, no, but I'd really like to, I've always wanted to direct and choreograph the Britain cantatas. And then after I sent it in, I was like, no, what did you do? I'm never going to support this. And then I got it. So that's wonderful. And and you just have to keep thinking, well, that could go easily once we're allowed to travel. It's something you can do worldwide, and because it's all ages, and mix it, and with choirs and schools and integrating dance and singing everywhere. You just keep going. I think at first, though, when the pandemic hit, it was just a super busy house, because Darcy, with the ballet school, was closed. So the living room, was really our dance studio. And it was just this fight for, it was, music here, dancing there, the whole time. And the house has got, or the apartment has, we've done so many different changes, just according to the different stages of the pandemic, what we needed, for working at home.
Yeah.
But
I built a home studio. Saying that, I built a studio in my son's room so that we could record at home. That's true. Yeah, the things that you have to do, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like really, the living room is it's half dance studio.
So did either one of you during the pandemic, even when you were able to pivot, did you ever think maybe I need to get a different job just to be able to do? And I'm asking this because both of you said I can't imagine doing anything else, but you're both also parents. That means, there are some responsibilities involved. So, and you mentioned getting a grant, and, Alex mentioned, there was a little support from the German government. But in general, did at any point during those almost 2 years, whatever, like 594 days, or I forget what Johannes had said, was there ever a point where you said, maybe I just need to, get a job?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I applied and I got it. And it's not a case of, because like we said, I could never imagine doing anything else, but I know with Roimata as well, we could.
Yeah.
I mean, as talking to us or generally, we are, we're our own press agents, we're our own managers, we're our own designers, choreographers. I mean, we do, so much for ourselves, so we could go into other things. I did actually apply for another job, and yes, I did get it. And I just looked at the hours I would have to do, and I thought I can't do any more singing. I couldn't. What if I get a voiceover job? Then I can't do that, and I can't do. And the whole thought was, no, come on, push on through. Just send your stuff out more. Don't do it, because if you get stuck in that, there'll be no time left to do the other things that I need to do that are more important. So yes. So luckily everything else worked out fine, so I didn't have to do the job.
Interesting. Well, I love how you said more important, because some people would say, well, it's important to put food on the table. And I'm not suggesting that you didn't do that, but that's, of course, sometimes we have to make those decisions where we say, okay, this puts food on the table. But then the question is, well, but isn't it more important that you follow your heart and do your dream and, you know, maintain that path? There's always that, I call it crossroads, you know, and other people probably talking to you saying, I mean, I've had that, you know, being an entrepreneur. It's like, well, shouldn't you get a real job? Because a real job means you have health insurance and this and this and this. And you're like, yeah, but, you know, my heart's like over here. So,
Yeah.
you know, there are pressures. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is obviously in our, that's the one thing I have to say that I've noticed with a lot of young colleagues. That's something I try and tell them, is that if you have, you know, it's lovely to get your first wages. It's, you know, you can go maybe mad for a little bit, but learn to save. Learn to save for those days where there won't be a contract. You know, as I said, we're very lucky in Germany. We have a, you know, very good system. If you work for a couple of years, you can get unemployment benefit. You know, you don't have to beg and scrape. It's you're entitled if you pay into the system. But there are a lot of colleagues that I know that, you know, oh, I've got this money left over, party. And I'm like, So I've worked very, very hard my entire life. You know, as Roimata, raised my child by myself, and I've got my savings. I worked hard to have those savings. So if I had nothing left, then believe you me, I would have taken that job. But that's the whole point of, obviously, you know, this isn't just I'm going to have fun, I'm going to be famous, and I'm going to play a lead, and then I'm okay and I'm done. No, this is my life. This is something I want to do until the day I die. So I have to look at it with the respect that, okay, I'm doing well now, so put the money aside for the days when it's maybe not so good. There aren't that many jobs coming in. So, yeah, I think, believe you me, if there had been no food on the table, I would be working anywhere I need to, as anyone would do when you know you've got to feed your child. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's your story about that, Roimata? Did it occur to you to do something else before you applied for the grant?
Actually, I mean, the grant came up just at a perfect time. And for me, that is work, you know, then it makes much more sense to be doing that, investing in my career. And it's, the thing is, those are where my contacts are, you know, with it's with a specialist music school in England and with dance schools here. And then I'm using my contacts. I don't, especially in Germany, I don't really have other things I could do. If I was in New Zealand, definitely I would have gone down to the different factories that I'd worked at, you know, the chicken factory. I would have been in there, definitely. I have no problem with that. And when you're working in a factory, you have this time, you're still creative while you're doing these things, but then you can generally get a decent wage, or, you know, the thought had crossed my mind, okay, could go back to New Zealand, do a 1-year secondary teaching thing, because I have degrees, and then teach in a secondary school. But then your other part's like, and then your soul will die. So I think, I mean, teaching in a secondary school, it's fun, and kids are fun, and they're amazing. But I think we're not used to be, well, we are when we're in a show, but it's a very you're in a system, and you have to abide by many rules, I guess. I mean, depending on if you find a good fit, I think it could be good. But I mean, the whole New Zealand thing is, I mean, they're in a complete lockdown now, so that's off the table. You know. But I was definitely like, and then with the price of air tickets and everything, because of the compulsory stay in hotels.
Oh yeah.
I think it's impossible. I mean, that would even, I think, take more, say, from me and to children who are already full fare. It would take your entire savings and the calcium from the apartment and everything, because I had a friend and he tried to get back. He unfortunately lost both his parents during COVID. He lives here, not from Corona, but and it was going to be 10,000 euro for him to go, and on a 40-hour flight, and having to stay in a hotel room for 2 weeks. And it's so there aren't many options. I think here too, if I go in for any job, people are like, they look at me strange when I did apply for a few things, like, why are you doing, they don't take me seriously because it's not my area. And they think, yeah, why would you be doing this? And they just prefer to hire younger people, and people that, that are more, that they want to train up there, or that, I mean, I'm sure there's something out there, and I will do anything, of course, if when it comes to that time, which it might well do, we never know, because it's very it's going month by month. But I think as freelancers and in this business, you don't look, or I'm better when I don't look so far forward, because then you do go into this huge, it can be a huge panic and anxiety. But actually, it's always worked out. And I've always left New Zealand very young, and I was in London. I didn't have family money or anything like that behind me, but it always has worked out with jobs and finding money from jobs, getting whatever jobs, teaching.
And I think, sorry to go in there, Roimata, I think it's also because you're the same as me. It's something you want to do for the rest of your life. This isn't like a shot in the dark, let's get famous. I just want to play that one part and I want everyone to know my name. It's part of us to do. So you will always find a way. And most of the time it will always work out, because you're prepared to do everything you can for the job that we do. Right. So
And it's really, it's not at all about famous, is it?
No.
What? Because we're not actually. I mean,
well, it can't be about being famous, because then you'd be used to, talking about yourself in interviews. So, just say it. It'd be like, oh yeah,
but
famous, I can tell a story.
Considering we were both so nervous, I think we've done quite well.
I think you've done amazing.
We're like talking.
Yeah. Now you can't get us to shut up. It's good.
Great interviewer.
Therapy. It's good therapy today.
It's good therapy. Okay. Well, that's my job. So that's good. And I love what I do too. One final question for both of you. If you're thinking about performing arts, culture, artists, what is, and I think I've asked this just about everybody who's been on the show thus far this month. What is the one thing that you'd like to invite the audience or anybody to consider when it comes to the performing arts? Is there one thing that you'd like to ask them to do or invite them to consider? So like one thing that you'd really like to get across, because we're just about out of time. So is there one thing you'd like to tell everybody about what you do, performing arts in general, or anything of that sort? And Roimata, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to give you the spotlight. Okay, so you'll be on the screen all by yourself. No pressure, but go ahead.
I would like people to consider paying us more. And I mean, I think especially, and for teachers, especially when you're a freelance teacher, you're paid for the hour or the 2 hours, the 3 hours. But if you're a really good teacher, you do really good prep. And then you change the classes up. You're constantly developing things and ideas and constantly working on your teaching technique. And I find it really underpaid. And even for performing, I've heard it said now, going out on gigs, well, people should be glad of jobs, but therefore sometimes they wanted to pay nothing or very little. And it's like, no, this is my job. I don't work for nothing. And then sometimes you think, okay, well, so now I have to take a very low wage, but this is what I use to pay the rent and the food for my kids and stuff. So it's really difficult. And thank goodness, we have things like the consideration social escasa. So if you're a performer and you're in that because you are working freelancer, you still pay health insurance and all these things, but then they pay a percentage of that, and it really helps you. But still, you are only in that because you're a working freelancer. And I think people really need to rethink about what they're, especially everywhere across the board, if they want this fantastic entertainment and they say they're so happy with it, they're blown away by it, and especially they want it more than anything now. You notice that when singing for audiences, it's like kids. I couldn't believe last week, small children were mesmerized, but for 20 minutes they're standing there listening to live singing, and then singing along, and then on other night, entire families, and it crosses the ages. And I just think we need to be paid more and appropriately, not just, oh well, they should be glad of the work, because it's not work if you're not paid. I mean, it's not. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it is. I am working, but if you don't pay me, I don't consider that a job.
Well, yeah. I think that's really important. I mean, yeah, I'm a trained teacher, so I'm with you like all the way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think teachers in schools also.
Yeah, but it's also in general, if you are rehearsing like 8 hours per day or 10 hours per day, that's hours. So that's a very good point. So better pay. All right. Oh, Alex, what are your thoughts?
Woohoo. Well, I have to agree with Roimata. I think that's a big issue, but I would also like people to remind people, yes, this is actually work. This is a job. We get paid for it. And even though we love doing it, it would be nice if people would respect a little bit more what they're seeing. The work that goes into it. This isn't something we woke up this morning and we just did. We've been training and working for this our entire lives. And it would be nice to not always have to explain that to people, that they, I would never dare say to a lawyer, really? Oh, yeah, did you train? Whereas people like to say that to us. So I'd like a little bit more respect, a little bit more pay would always be good. And that people just enjoy it, enjoy what it is, and enjoy every aspect of it, but please respect it, respect what we do all the time, because if it wasn't for us, especially during the pandemic, it would have been really tough in the lockdown, guys, because there would have been no Netflix, no Amazon Prime, no radio, sorry, adverts for everyone else, no newspapers, if people were not out there doing what they love, journalists, singers, dancers, actors, whatever, it would have been a tough lockdown for everyone. So a little bit more understanding and respect with more pay.
Well, and I do think it was tough, because it's Netflix or Amazon Prime or watching, the main channels on German TV or anywhere else. It's not the same as a live performance.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, even when a major artist is doing a live streaming concerts, it's not the same as if you're there. So there's always that difference, and a lot of work goes into it. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate both of you being here. I hope it wasn't too tough.
No, thank you ever so much. Thank you for the invitation.
Everybody, please check out Alex and Roimata. As you've heard, they have a long resume. They have done amazing work. They keep doing amazing work. And they're also dedicated to teaching our younger generation to at least figure out what they want to do, be a little more confident when they're talking, and, have a little bit of joy and fun exploring other roles. So everybody, I appreciate your time. I will see you next week with yet another episode where we give thanks to artists. And ladies, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.